I didn't plan to come back. That morning I left my apartment in Tokyo without telling anyone. No notes, no messages, just a quiet exit as if I were slipping out of existence. My mind was a storm, numb, tangled, and screaming in silence. I had made my choice, and I knew exactly where I was going. Aokigahara. The name itself felt heavy on my tongue. They call it the Suicide Forest, a sea of trees at the base of Mount Fuji, so thick and quiet that sound barely escapes. People go in and never come out. I thought it was perfect. The train ride was long. The closer we got, the more people got off. By the time I reached the nearest station, it was almost empty. I took a bus to the edge of the forest, walked the final stretch alone. The air felt colder here, still, unmoving. At the entrance, there was a sign in Japanese that said, "Your life is a precious gift. Please reconsider. Talk to someone." I stared at it for a while. Then I stepped in. The moment I crossed the threshold, it was as if the forest swallowed me. My phone lost signal almost instantly. The crunch of leaves beneath my feet was the only sound. Even the birds didn't sing. The deeper I walked, the more the world outside felt like a dream I was waking from. Every tree looked the same: twisted roots, dark trunks, moss-covered rocks. It didn't take long before I lost track of direction. I wasn't afraid. Not yet. That came later. At that moment, I felt calm. But now, looking back, I realized the forest wasn't silent. It was listening. I walked for what felt like hours. There was no path, no direction, just endless trees that all looked the same. I marked a few with a knife I brought, carving small notches into the bark. But even that felt pointless. The forest seemed to shift when I wasn't looking. Then I saw it, a thin, faded ribbon, bright red against the green gloom, tied around a tree branch. It trailed down to the forest floor and disappeared into the distance. I knew what it was. People tie these to find their way back, just in case they changed their minds. I followed it. Along the way, I passed abandoned belongings, a moldy backpack, a shoe half buried in the soil, a water bottle still half full, a photo torn in half, its edges soaked by rain. And then, a note, handwritten in pencil, "I'm sorry, Mom." Something tightened in my chest. I suddenly felt like I wasn't alone, not in the human sense, but something else. Like the trees were watching me, like they remembered everyone who had walked this path before. Then I heard it, a whisper, faint like wind brushing across my ear, but there was no breeze. The air was completely still. I stopped, held my breath. Nothing. But then, again, this time clearer, a voice, a woman's voice. It said my name. I turned around fast. No one, just the trees and silence. I told myself I was imagining things, that my mind was playing tricks. But as I moved forward, I noticed something strange. The ribbon I was following wasn't the same color anymore. It was darker, wetter, like it had been soaked in something thick. Then I found the end of it, tied to a tree next to a small clearing. And there, half hidden in the underbrush, was something pale, something shaped like a hand.
I stood there, frozen. That pale shape. It was a hand. Cold, stiff, and reaching upward from behind a fallen log, like someone had tried to crawl out of the earth itself. I backed away slowly, my breath caught in my throat. That's when I saw her. At first, she was just a blur behind the trees. Long black hair, white clothes that looked stained and damp. She didn't move. She didn't blink. She just watched me. I called out, "Hello? Are you okay?" No response. Not a single twitch. I stepped closer, heart pounding. But as soon as my foot snapped a twig beneath me, her head jerked, Fast. Too fast. Her neck tilted slightly, like she was listening. Her face still hidden by her hair. Then she moved. Not walking, not running. Just one moment she was there. The next she was closer. A few trees closer. Still watching. I didn't wait. I turned and ran. Branches whipped at my face. My lungs burned. But no matter how far I went, I kept hearing her. Behind me. Around me. Sometimes beside me. Footsteps that weren't mine. Breathing that didn't match my own. The forest grew darker, even though it was still afternoon. The canopy above seemed to close in. My GPS still didn't work. No signal. My markings were gone. All of them. I stumbled into a small clearing. Dead center was a tent. Old, torn, half collapsed. I ducked inside, desperate for cover, even though something told me this wasn't a safe place. The air inside was colder than outside. I could see my breath, and on the ground was a notebook. I picked it up. The cover was moldy, the pages curled and brown, but the writing inside, shaky, frantic, was still legible. The last entry said, "She doesn't let you leave. She wears your name like a mask. If you hear yourself calling, don't answer." Then, I heard it again, my voice, calling out from just beyond the tent. "Hey, are you there? Come out." But I wasn't speaking.
I held my breath. That voice, my voice, kept calling from just outside the tent. Calm, familiar, wrong. I pressed myself against the inner wall, hand clutched around the notebook like a lifeline. The air felt thick, like the forest was pressing in from all sides. I didn't move. I didn't even blink. I just listened. Silence. Then, rustling. Soft footsteps circling the tent, crunching slowly over the leaves. 1, 2, 3 laps. Then it stopped. Right behind me. I didn't dare look. Instead, I opened the notebook again, flipped to the earlier pages. Whoever had written it had been here for days, maybe weeks. They'd drawn maps, notes, sketches of figures with hollow faces, long fingers, black hair like seaweed dripping from tree branches. The entries grew more erratic, more desperate. "The forest copies, the forest traps, it becomes you." I tried to follow the strings out. They led me back in. At night, they talked to each other. Trees that remember how you died. One sentence was underlined again and again. "Don't trust what looks familiar. It's never really yours." I thought I understood now. Aokigahara doesn't just lure the lost. It feeds on them, on their memories, their names, their faces, and once it knows you, it becomes you. I zipped the tent shut and sat in the dark, clutching my knees, praying the voice outside would stop. But then it changed. It wasn't mine anymore. It was my mother's. She sounded like she did when I was a kid, worried, calling for me when I got lost in a supermarket once. "Where are you, baby? Please come out." Tears welled in my eyes, but I didn't move. I knew it wasn't her. It wasn't anyone. And yet, a part of me wanted to believe. That's what this place does. It finds the cracks in your soul, slips inside, and whispers what you most want to hear. I stayed there the whole night, or at least I think it was night. In Aokigahara, time feels like it's rotting. When I finally opened the tent flap, the forest looked different. The trail behind me was gone. but something else was waiting ahead. When I stepped out of the tent, the forest was wrong. The trees were closer together. The sky above looked like a dirty, stretched-out canvas, grey, sickly, unmoving. There was no sound, not even the wind. It felt like I had crawled out of the world and into a painting of it. But ahead of me was a path, clear, straight, almost welcoming. Part of me screamed not to trust it, but I was exhausted, hollowed out. I needed to believe in an exit. I needed to believe something still made sense. So I followed it. The forest didn't whisper anymore. It just watched. The silence felt like it was holding its breath. I kept walking, one slow step after another, until I saw it. The edge. A break in the trees, light, real, warm sunlight. I ran. Branches clawed at me. The ground seemed to shift beneath my feet, but I didn't stop. I burst through the tree line, stumbling onto gravel. A road, an actual road. A wooden sign nearby marked the forest boundary. I collapsed. I laughed. I cried. I was out. And then I noticed something strange. There were no cars, no people, no sounds of life, just the same quiet, suffocating stillness from the forest. My phone still had no signal. I stood up slowly, scanning the horizon. Then I saw her, standing in the middle of the road, far ahead, long black hair, white dress, no face, just a blurred smear, like a memory you can't quite hold on to. She tilted her head, and then raised her hand, not in greeting, in mimicry. She was copying me. Every move, every twitch, like a reflection lagging behind the glass. I stepped back. She stepped forward. And then I heard it again, my voice, right behind me this time. You made it out. I turned slowly, and there I was, standing just a few feet away. Same clothes, same face, same tired eyes. But the smile wasn't mine. It was hers.